I'm sharing 18 lessons learned from the Atomic Habits book by James Clear. You'll discover how tiny changes can lead to remarkable results in your journey to fluency. If you're new here, hola amigos, my name's Matthew. I used to work for Fluent Forever, where I was mentored by the American polyglot and best-selling author Gabriel Weiner. Since branching out on my own, I've discovered that I still love learning languages. So I've developed my own tools and techniques, and I'd love to share them with you to help you too. First, I'll explain what atomic habits are. Then I'll share why my language learning led me to this book. Next, I'll cover 18 tips from this book that can transform your language learning habits. Now let's understand what atomic habits actually means. Well, the word atomic means tiny but a powerful source of energy, while a habit is a regular action or routine. James Clear's main message is that small changes, when done consistently, can result in extraordinary outcomes. And for me, this principle is perfect for language learning. Let me tell you why, sharing a bit of my personal story. For a very long time, I wanted to be fluent in another language. I had stints and short bursts of trying to learn different languages with tutors, with classes, and with textbooks. In the past, I tried and failed, learning French, learning Chinese, trying to revive my Tagalog, dabbling in Arabic, Thai, and even Bengali. Have you ever had the issue of starting and then stopping learning certain languages? Well, there came a point in my life where I wanted to just stop doing all of this. I wanted to stop failing and I wanted to actually succeed at fluency. Then when I started to learn Spanish because I had to for my job and just to survive in Latin America, I knew things had to change. I had to take language learning more seriously, but there did come a point where I reached a plateau. I stumbled upon the book Atomic Habits, and this book did change my life. It made me re-examine my own language learning through the lens of my habits. I began to 1. Understand habits and their importance. I discovered 2. How to break my bad habits. 3. Create good language learning habits. And 4. How to make habits stick for the long term. Those 4 topics are for me the main foundations of the whole Atomic Habits book. And my 18 tips and lessons learned are actually grouped within those 4 topics. Understanding habits. 1. The impact of small changes. James Clear's book taught me that small changes might seem insignificant at first, but over time they can compound to end up being great things. Here's why. The power of getting 1% better every day. Aim to improve your language learning just even 1% each day. While this may seem like nothing and trivial, this can add up over time. In fact, if you improve just by 1% each and every day in the language that you're learning, then by the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better in that language. So if in your mind you think that you have to make a whole big drastic change in your life in order to learn a language effectively, just stop. Think of the little changes you can make to improve your languages. Those small changes in your habits can make a difference. 2. Focus on systems, not goals. I really like James Clear's ideas here. They really changed my whole perspective about goal setting. In the book, he talks about how goals set the direction, but systems really drive your progress. So when it comes to your language learning, focus on creating effective systems rather than just aiming for goals. Winners and losers in different sports, games, business, and in life tend to have very similar goals. But what makes the difference between winners and losers, achievers and those that fail, is the systems that they have. So if you want to be effective at language learning, make sure that the system that you're following is an effective one. For example, instead of just aiming to be fluent, focus on your system of daily practice, your regular speaking sessions, your reading and listening input, and your regular review. 3. The habit loop. The process of building a habit involves 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. These stages can create a habit loop, and they're what make a habit so regular and consistent. When it comes to building your habits, James Clear suggests that you make it obvious, make it attractive, easy, and satisfying. If you use these principles, they can help you to create good language learning habits and break bad ones. For example, think about the language learning habits that you have or you don't have. How could you make your language habits easier, satisfying, more attractive, so that your habits will become more regular and automatic? 4. Building awareness. Behavior change all starts with being aware. We have to increase our awareness of both our positive and negative habits. We often act on autopilot without realizing it. Sometimes it helps to just step outside of yourself. Think that you're an outside observer looking at what you do on a regular basis, and use the point and calling technique. Point to and call out the behaviors that you do on a daily basis. You can point and call out both positive and negative behaviors throughout your day. For example, oh, I'm about to study vocabulary in Spanish, or I'm going to watch this movie in French so I can learn more words and enjoy the culture. It might also help to point out those time wasters, such as, oh, I'm about to scroll endlessly on my phone, wasting my time when I could actually be learning a language and reaching my goal of fluency. This technique helps you to be more aware of your habits and make sure that your actions align with your goals. 5. Taking action. Remember that there's a big difference between planning and doing. Habits are formed by the frequency of your actions. You can plot and scheme all you want and brag to your friends and family about how you're going to be fluent, but that will not take the place of actually taking action and practicing, immersing, and speaking the foreign language. Be sure that you're consistently taking actions to improve your language that you're learning. Consistently read, write, listen, and speak in the foreign language so that it will become more automatic over time. How to overcome bad habits. 6. Breaking bad habits. If you have bad habits that are sucking all of your time and wasting your life, when you could actually be improving yourself to be a better person, be a better speaker and language learner, then one tip is to make those bad habits more impractical. For example, if you find that you often get distracted by your phone during your language study times, then why not set your phone to silent mode or just turn it off altogether? This makes it more impractical for you to use your phone, and it will prevent your phone from attacking your attention during your language learning session. 7. Self-control and reward. If you rely just on your willpower, then it's often not sustainable for you to get rid of your bad habits. Instead, do this. Make your habit cues invisible. What you can do is actually hide your distractions. Remember that annoying phone? Instead of just turning it off or putting it on silent, why don't you put it away in a totally different room or floor? That way, you won't even see it at all, and you'll really be able to focus on what you want to learn for your languages. You can also consider using temptation bundling. You can pair a habit that you need to do with one that you want to do. For example, after I study for 30 minutes in a foreign language, then I can watch my favorite show. Hey, you could even make that show in your target language too. When you anticipate a reward coming up, this can actually be more of a driving force for you to take action, even more than the reward itself. Remember when you were a kid and you were anticipating a gift or a toy and you had such a really strong feeling? Well, we're going to be using that kind of feeling to drive you to do some of the harder activities first before you get your reward. How to create good habits. 8. Implementing new habits. When you decide that you want a new language learning habit, then be very clear about when and where you'll be doing this new habit. You can have a specific plan like this. I will study Spanish at 7 p.m. in my living room every day. You can even take advantage of habit stacking. That's when you do one habit straight after the other. For example, you could aim for this. After I brush my teeth every night, I will watch 30 minutes of a Japanese show so I can get that listening input. Now, this kind of specificity and clarity makes it much easier for your brain and your body to follow through. 9. Positive reframing. Be sure to reframe your intended habits to focus on its benefits. Instead of thinking, I have to study every day, why not think, I get to learn this new language every day? I know it sounds like it's just semantics and word choice, but trust me, this positive mindset makes it easier to stick to your habits. 10. The 2-minute rule. If you want to start a new habit or you're having difficulty with one, then try out the 2-minute rule. For example, if you want to read more in your target language, don't aim for a daily habit of reading for 30 minutes or 1 hour every day. Just start with reading for 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes sounds like it's easy. It'll be a breeze. Your goal will be first to have a system of daily repetitions of at least 2 minutes of reading. You'll feel a greater sense of accomplishment when you do those simple 2 minutes daily. When there are days that you feel you want to read even more than that 2 minutes, then that's fine. You could read as much as you like. Some days you might feel very busy, but at least you have that 2 minutes of easy reading to fall back on. Starting with just 2 minutes makes it easier to get started, and you can gradually build up from there. 11. The Goldilocks rule. Remember the story of Goldilocks? She didn't like the bowls of porridge too hot or too cold. She wanted it just right. Well, this just right concept can also help you with your new habits. We are most motivated when we do tasks that are right at our level of difficulty. So when you create new language learning habits, don't make them too hard. Avoid overwhelming tasks, and don't make them too easy either. This will help you avoid boredom. Find the right balance to stay engaged. And when it comes to language learning, this Goldilocks rule actually reminds me a lot of the comprehensible idea and the input hypothesis. You can learn languages effectively just by reading and listening when those materials in the target language are at the right level for you. That usually means that you know about 98% of the words within those materials, and it's just those 2% or so that you don't know, which helps you to develop and grow your vocabulary and your language. If you knew all the words, then it might be too easy. But if you knew, let's say, only 50% of the words in a book that you're reading or in a movie that you're watching, then it could be too hard. So the Goldilocks rule in language learning here for input is that 98% level. And you'll probably come across this sort of Goldilocks rule as you approach different materials in the language you're learning. Make sure it's just right for you. 12. Immediate satisfaction. Remember that we humans often seek immediate satisfaction. So if you want to make habits stick, then try and find small ways to feel successful. For example, after completing a language study session, you might check off a box in your habits tracker, or you might cross off your task on your to-do list. I personally love using lists myself, and I love ticking them off because it really gives me that boost of motivation and makes me feel like I've made real progress in my day. There are even days I do an activity or achieve a habit, then I actually write it into a list when I've already done it and then tick it off, and that still gives me a sense of success. Have you ever done something like this? How to make habits last. 13 layers of behavior change. James Clear points out that behavior change happens on 3 levels: outcomes, processes, and identity. Outcomes focus on the end result, processes on the systems and habits, while identity focuses on who you wish to become. If you really want to make habits stick for the long term and for life, then focus on identity. Become a person who loves learning languages and become the person that speaks your target language. Don't be a learner, be a speaker of that language. 14, play to your strengths. Maximize your language learning success by leveraging your strengths. Try and identify what comes naturally to you and what do you find fun when it comes to language learning. Are you more of a talker and you've got the gift of the gab? Then do more speaking. Are you more introverted and maybe you feel more comfortable at home? Then do more language learning through input and other means that you can do on your own. Work hard on language learning strategies that feel easy to you. 15, design your environment. Your environment plays a crucial role in forming a new habit. So make good habits obvious. Place books of different languages on your desk so they're easy to grab and read. Reduce the friction for your good habits by organizing your language learning materials so that they're easy to access and you'll want to do them and study them. You can also increase the friction for bad habits in your environment. Put distractions like your phone or computer or your remote control for your TV out of reach. Another ultimate way to design your environment for language learning is to go ahead and live or study or work abroad in a country that speaks the language you're learning. If you can't do that, then do the best that you can in your home environment by having as much materials in the target language in your home. Books, movies, music, whatever inspires you to learn the language, have them decorated and available in your home environment. 16, social influence. Remember that we often imitate the habits of those around us. So think about the social circles and people in your life on 3 levels. Firstly, the close. Surround yourself with people who have the habits that you want. Choose friends or a work environment where the language learning habits that you want are celebrated. The many. Join groups where the language habits that you desire are normal. For example, there are language learning clubs, there are online language learning communities that focus on your target language. Join them and watch the habits of others in the community that can inspire you. The influential. You can also follow and learn from the people that you admire, be that other successful language learners or even native speakers in the language that you're learning. They can be a great source of motivation. 17, habit tracking and accountability. Be sure to track your habits so that you can stay consistent. For example, you might consider using a calendar so you can measure your progress of how often you study your target language. You might even count the hours that you spend reading or watching in the language you're learning. Another tip is to find an accountability partner to motivate and support you. That might be another language learner or even a tutor or a native speaker friend who can give you that extra push to help you keep going with your good habits. 18, reflect and review. I suggest you regularly reflect on and review your language learning habits. You'll need to identify what's been working and what's not. Then you can adjust. You can make necessary changes to your habits in order to improve so that you can eventually reach your goals. I believe that success in language learning is a continuous process. Focus on your atomic habits to achieve those remarkable results. But maybe you still don't know what small habit you could do right now. Then I suggest you can watch this video where I share some techniques that you yourself can turn into new daily habits, and that might give you some ideas for what small change you can achieve to create some extraordinary results over time.